Hello, Steve White, Trickway89 for Steve Arts89. Well, I barely had time to process the whole Section 31 made for TV streaming event movie thing when the Hollywood Reporter is reporting that this is going to be the way forward with Star Trek. They're saying that Kurtzman is planning to pull back from doing streaming TV shows and focus on just doing a Star Trek event film for Paramount Plus for streaming every 2 years. I guess the idea is that they need to keep interest in Star Trek and bring new audiences in and keep people interested in the universe by continuing growing and expanding and continuing the stories without actually having to produce, weekly TV shows, because Paramount needs to cut back on how much they're spending on content. And I think what they've realised is people really don't care about the new Star Trek shows. By trying to sort of find new audiences and please everyone, they're not really making anyone happy, and they're not really resonating, and they're not getting the same sort of fans with the same sort of viewing habits as the original shows had. So I think they've realised they don't need to keep spending hundreds of millions of dollars to pump out weekly episodes of Star Trek to keep people coming to the service for Star Trek, because they've got all these legacy shows that are timeless because they are made in the future. And unlike the new Star Trek shows, which try very hard to be contemporary and deal with current day politics, which ages really quickly and badly, the new shows are kind of timeless. So fans are going to keep coming back forever to revisit them, and new people are going to keep discovering them. And I think they've realised they don't need to keep producing new shows to do that. Just a movie every year or two, just to keep those universes going. And the rumour was that they were going to actually reboot the franchise for the 60th anniversary, and they were going to be doing something to establish that the Kurtzman shows are a pocket universe separate from the main universe and the mirror universe and all the other universes, and sort of do that. And then I think the idea was that they were going to try and do movies for different eras of Star Trek and different types of Star Trek, and try and still cater for everyone in that way, but just focus on one at a time and do it properly. I think that seems to be what this could be. And I mean, this is just rumours, sources reporting stuff, but it seems to make sense to me. I mean, they need to cut back on the money they're spending on content. They're spending a hell of a lot of money on the Star Trek shows. It's not really, the new shows aren't really bringing in the audiences. Picard's the first one to actually get any attention, to get any ratings, and to get any real resonance in pop culture. It's like all the other shows have failed on that level. So I think they've realised they don't need them. Star Trek is still a franchise to be reckoned with on that level because of its legacy shows, and they don't cost anything. They're already just sitting there. So all they need to do is keep promoting them and streaming them and create enough content that they can attract new viewers to that catalogue. So that's what I think's happening, and makes sense to me. And I'm kind of okay. I mean, they wanted to do films every couple of years, but the films, they were spending like $200 million on them and expecting $1 billion back, getting about $400 million, and just trying to make Star Trek into something it's not. It's not a tentpole film franchise, and the only thing that worries me is they were referring to these as tentpole films, and maybe they could be for the streaming service, but they can't be cinematic for a cinematic tentpole film. Star Trek is not big enough. It doesn't have the general appeal. You've got to be intelligent to understand Star Trek, good science fiction. The general audience, it goes over the head, and they are unwilling to invest in the kind of research and knowledge that you have to actually have to understand Star Trek and good science fiction. So it was never going to happen. It's always been niche. It's always going to be niche. It's for the nerds, and So I kind of see how this is going to pan out, because the films are failing, the series are failing, but they need to keep interest in their catalogues. So if they can focus on one era of Star Trek, one Star Trek story, one Star Trek universe at a time, treat them properly, make one audience happy, and just keep bringing back people to the shows, keep the interest up, keep the universe expanding and moving so they don't totally date, it could work. So I'm happy to see that happen. If they actually want to establish a multiverse and actually spend time going into the original series or the Next Generation or Discovery or whatever, and give fans of each of those new stories over time, I'm fine with that. I think that could work, but we'll see. It's just rumours at the moment. There's no real way of telling where it's going to go, and I just had to talk about it, had to give my 2 cents, and we'll see where it goes. I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of this whole biannual film to keep Star Trek, interesting. Yeah, we'll see.